Everyone wants to know, when is the next Animal Crossing game releasing? Perhaps on the Nintendo Switch 2? We talk about it today, folks. Welcome back to the Mario Matter, your favorite Nintendo podcast episode 156. I am your host, Nintendo Switch 2 YouTuber EmSwizzle. It's a beautiful day, but I'm here to give you a quick preview of what is on today's show. Let's run through that. First things first, I go over Nintendo news. Somebody got arrested in the world of Nintendo. We talk about that along with a few other shocking bits of news. After that, we dive into the main topic today. When will the next Animal Crossing game release? I have some strong insight because I began YouTube as an Animal Crossing YouTuber. I have a whole lot of knowledge there. And then after that, I answer your questions you asked me. If you want to skip anywhere in this podcast, there are timestamps down below. But with that said, let's get you right to listening. Let's talk Nintendo news now.
Welcome to the Mario Matter, the #1 Nintendo podcast.
Folks, welcome on in. This is the Nintendo news headline segment. It feels like it's been a while since we've done a solo episode of this podcast, maybe because it has been a while. It's been like 3 weeks or so. We got good guests on this show recently. It's been a fun time, but we got to talk about Nintendo news to kick off the show, the weekly Mario Matter show. And as I teased during the intro, we have quite a few fun things to discuss. And the first thing being, we can just go ahead and dive into this. We can dive right in to Nintendo news headlines. The first thing happened the day of this podcast recording. It is Friday, September 5th. Happy fall, everyone. It's not officially fall. That begins on like September 22nd or something. But, you know, it's kind of fall. It feels like it outside. It's great. Happy fall. With that said, September 5th, a man has been arrested for selling $2 million worth of fake Nintendo Switch 2 and Switch 1 accessories. Sit on that one for a second. I mean, geez. $2 million. The guy is rich. Now, I said $2 million worth. I kind of meant he made $2 million. What the accessories were actually worth was probably like half that. Because this guy, what he was doing was, according to many articles, Isaac here, who is 34 years old, living in Long Island, was buying Nintendo Switch accessories from China. That's what, the speculation is. For cheap. And bro was going to Amazon.com. You all ever heard of that site? And just selling these products for like 9 times the price. And bro made $2 million. And what happened was Isaac is selling these accessories, and obviously they're fake accessories. And you also might wonder, like, what accessories was he selling? He was selling Switch docking station adapters, and Pokemon Go Plus accessories. I don't know why bro chose those ones, but okay, whatever. Isaac was selling these through Amazon, and a bunch of bad reviews came in. I guess somehow Amazon caught wind of that and tipped off this company, and then the company got Nintendo involved, and then Nintendo said that they were counterfeit, and then they went and arrested the shop owner who was selling these accessories. That happens to be Isaac, who is 34 years old, out of Long Island. And now Isaac is arrested. So isn't that just an interesting story to kick off the Mario Matter? Listen, it's only so often that this podcast, the Mario Matter, has to cover somebody being arrested. It's only so often. The last time, and it's funny because I can remember it vividly, the last time must have been, and I could be wrong, so if there's any longtime fans listening, please comment. I think it was in July of 2024 when we had Josie Woe on. We talked about some guy in like the UK or something getting arrested for walking around with like a Master Sword in his pocket. I don't know what happened to him, but I feel like that's the last time we talked about someone getting arrested. Wait, no, hold on. Didn't we talk about like some Pokemon card thieves or something? Oh, I think we did. I kind of forget, but it's very few and far between, the times that we talk about someone getting arrested. So, this has to go down as like one of the bigger ones. So, Isaac here faces up to 15 years in prison if he is convicted of these charges. We will update you on this story I feel like a newscaster. I somewhat am. We will update you if we hear more about Isaac here selling fake Switch accessories. But honestly, listen to this. This is probably the craziest part about this. This is probably the craziest thing. I've probably bought some of these Isaac sold accessories. I probably bought like one of his docking stations he sold. Cause I make YouTube shorts back in the day, like a few months ago, I would make shorts where I'd like buy products or whatever. I have a few, like multiple fake dock adapters. I've probably bought one before. Maybe from Isaac, maybe not from Isaac. I have no idea. But he sold a whole lot of them. So maybe I was one of his victims. I don't know. If so, I would like to file my lawsuit. Anyways, next topic of news here. I'm done talking about Nintendo folks being arrested. All right, let's get to some real news that affects the public and honestly shocked me. So our next piece of news, we start off with this headline. Hollow Knight Silksong has released. And listen, the last thing not the last thing, I'll put it this way. I'm not a Hollow Knight fan. I'm not a fan, but I'm not a fan. Like, I just have never played Hollow Knight, and I'm sorry because I know someone's offended right now. I just have not played Hollow Knight. So, I'm not, like, a part of this long wait for Silksong to release. I'll play it. It'll be fun, but I'm not, I've not been waiting 9,000 years for the game to release. The game is out now, after a whole lot of anticipation for the game. Years and years, whenever you would go to a Nintendo Direct and you read the live chat, the entire chat's like, Silksong, that game is finally out now. That's all fun and dandy. That's out. And I guess the reason I'm bringing up this piece of news that the game released, apart from it being, a big game that came out this week, this game, Hollow Knight Silksong, was so anticipated, it crashed the eShop. So, I believe it was yesterday. Thursday, September 4th, or Wednesday the 3rd. I'm not in the Hollow Knight loop. Whenever the game came out, I think it was yesterday. Thursday. The eShop crashed. You could not go to the eShop for a period of time and buy, anything. But in particular, Silksong. The eShop crashed. Everyone was logging on to buy their Silksong. Shout out to anybody who had it pre-ordered. If they did pre-orders, because you were just chilling that day. You were just chilling. You didn't have to go on no eShop. You already had it pre-ordered. That must have been nice. But we have not seen the eShop crash ever since every single Christmas. Every Christmas, the eShop is done. Like, it's done for. You cannot buy games on Christmas. Like, it does not work. You can. You can try. If you get lucky. If you get on there early enough. But most times, the eShop is just done on Christmas Day. So, apart from that, Silksong made the eShop crash. I know for a fact, I was getting footage for a YouTube short skit yesterday, and I had to open the eShop for a skit, and I was worried because I'd seen all these crash things all in the Nintendo news recently. I was like, oh boy, can I even get this footage for the skit? Thankfully, I could. By the time that I was recording, the eShop was fine, so I was pretty cool. But yeah, Silksong, I guess, is one of those games that has enough power to make the eShop crash. I wasn't aware, and for those wondering, who maybe are playing the game, who maybe like the game, if I'm going to play Silksong, the answer is yes. And here's part of the reason. Not all the reason. I'll mostly play it because it's a highly anticipated game, but part of the reason, and listen guys, please forgive me. I don't know much about Hollow Knight. I'm just a chill Animal Crossing guy, okay? And a Nintendo guy. Someone told me this is a good game. No, not someone told me. I put out a YouTube community post and somebody commented, this is a good game to play for the spooky season. Listen, I'm in. I'm sold. I'm in. I'm actually in. Just that alone, I'm in. I'm in. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I imagine it's true. With that said, I will be playing the game. It's not expensive, I don't think, compared to Mario Kart, full price Nintendo game. I think it's on the lower end. It's an indie game, I believe. I hope I have this all right. So I can pick it up. I'll play it. I'll let you know what I think of Silk Song at some point in time. May not be next week. May not be the week after. But at some point in time, I will tell you what I think. Alrighty, eShop's crashing. People are getting arrested. I mean, geez Louise, what's going on? We have some more news about the Nintendo Switch and our final piece of news before the big segment of the podcast. The Game Boy Advance Switch Online app got an update. Okay, and you might think, oh, Max, they added a brand new game. That's great news. That's not quite it. It got an update, just not the one that you wanted. The Game Boy Advance Switch Online service got this update. If you look at the app now on your home screen, it will now say Nintendo Classics underneath the icon. That's the update. Now, there is one other small thing, but for the most part, that's the update. The other small thing is that, do you know, oh, my voice cracking over here. Do you know when you open up the GameCube Switch Online app, there's a little Easter egg. If you tilt the control stick any way while opening the GameCube Switch Online app, there's a little Easter egg, and that is the GameCube startup screen. That is cool. Now, if you open up the Game Boy Advance app on your Switch, and you tilt the control stick, you will see the Game Boy Advance intro. Now that's freaking cool. I'm glad they added that. That's nice. Dude, just imagine if we ever get like Wii Virtual Console. Wii Nintendo Classics Switch Online Library. Imagine like you tilt the control stick and it makes that sound like when your Wii turns on. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Now, what's even more set up for it is the DS. The DS has more, because like with the Wii, you don't just turn it on and it makes that no, like that, turn on sound. You turn on your Wii and it goes to that warning screen. So like you don't hear the sound immediately. With the DS, you turn on your DS, you hear that no, So that you could, do you see what I'm saying? Like you could make more of a Switch Online startup sound Easter egg with the DS one than you can for the Wii one, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So listen, by all accounts, the DS Switch Online service has to come next. It has to. They're going to make a second Switch 2 screen. You put it on top of your Switch 2 screen, and you can play dual screen games. It's going to be fantastic. I'm calling it right here on the Mario Matter on September 5th, 2025, which releases on September 6th of 2025. It is fantastic stuff. But that is my little prediction. So yeah, Game Boy Advance gets an update. Not the update you want, but an update nonetheless. Now, folks, that's about all of our news, which is honestly sad, because if you asked me 3-4 months ago, like, Max, what do you think the Mario Matter episodes will look like when the Switch 2 is out? I would have told you, like, and I did tell you, dude, we are going to have so much news. It's crazy. Honestly, like, there are some pretty quiet weeks around here, even with Switch 2 out. Now, I imagine that will change. And listen, I'm going to put it out here. I think that'll change next year. I think next year, like we're in the cycle. Games are releasing like every month. I think next year we will be in the cycle of like, oh my God, there's so much news. Year one, and not even year one. We are 4 months in to the day, actually. To the day. We are 4 months in. Wait, hold on. No, we're 3 months in to the Nintendo Switch 2's life. Now, that's pretty cool. To the day, September 5th. So, I guess we should give it some more time. Maybe we'll have some more news coming in to talk about on the Mario matter. It'll be great. The only other piece of news that we can not tell you about, because I've talked about it last week, but remind you of, is there is 1,000%, according to rumors, according to leaks, a Nintendo Direct next week. It'll be on either September 11th, which seems doubtful, or the 12th of September, which I think is more likely. Look forward to it. And if you're asking me how I know, I don't know myself, but there have been reputable people who have said that. Switchforce, I think, said it first, who, once again, I said it last week, some people may like roll their eyes. Oh, Switchforce, what's his credibility? He's been right recently with a lot of things, so I give him that. Switchforce said it, Video Game Chronicles said it, and now Nate the Hate said it. And Nate the Hate, his word is like, if he said it, it's happening type thing, you know? So I trust Nate. He's the one who leaked the Switch 2 reveal and got it right. So I trust him with all my Nintendo info. He said next week, like it's going to happen next week. So next episode, we can talk to you about what happened in the Nintendo Direct. That will be fun. Now, whether it's a partner showcase, I don't know. They're saying it's going to be a general Direct. So hopefully next week, we can talk about that general Direct. We'll have a release date for Metroid Prime 4. We'll have a date for probably Splatoon Raiders. Please, another look at Tomodachi Life, maybe? Please? Potentially? I think it's kind of too soon because that game doesn't come out until next year, so showing it now would be kind of early. Anywho. But, you know, a man can dream. And also, maybe, just maybe, in this Direct, we can see what I'm about to talk about. And that is when the next Animal Crossing game is going to release. All right, guys, I'm a big Animal Crossing fan. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, take one look at my set. You know what? We actually only have one Animal Crossing thing on the set, and it's that canvas. I usually have more, but yeah, that's about it. All right, anywho, I'm a big Animal Crossing fan. Animal Crossing is my favorite Nintendo franchise, even beyond Mario. Believe it or not. And I always get the question. I mean, always, a lot of times. Max, when is the next Animal Crossing game going to release? And listen, I'm not Nintendo, but I am a prediction man. I am a speculation man. So, let's go ahead and talk about when do I believe, as somebody with, I'm an Animal Crossing vet, multiple years experience, qualified type guy. That's me. That's me. I am a vet. I'd like to call myself 10 plus years in this job field. I will predict when the next game is coming out right now. Let's get to it. Folks, ever since fall of 2000, I believe it's going to be 2014, I have been an Animal Crossing boy. I have been in the know with Animal Crossing ever since my brother put me on to Animal Crossing New Leaf for the Nintendo 3DS family of systems on my little red 3DS XL. I have been in love with Animal Crossing, and I've loved New Leaf ever since then. We had Happy Home Designer for the 3DS. We had Amiibo Festival. We don't talk about that one. We had Animal Crossing New Horizons, which really, the series was already big, but it really took Animal Crossing to a whole new level. And maybe that was, if you're listening, maybe New Horizons was your first Animal Crossing game. 5 years removed, 5+ years actually, removed from Animal Crossing New Horizons' release date, we now sit here with a brand new console, the Switch 2, and we talk about when will the next Animal Crossing game release. And listen, no one wants to know more than me. And I'll also tell you, just because I'm excited, just because I want to know when it's going to release, I will not lie to you. I will not be hopefully, how do you word this? Optimistically inaccurate. Is that how I word it? I will not just say, guys, I think it'll happen tomorrow just because I'm excited about it. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I'm going to be honest with what I actually think will happen given my years of following Nintendo. Let's talk. So, I actually, unlike me, I'm just kidding. I usually do research. Unlike me, just kind of going with the whole joke here, I did my research for this segment, okay? And I have found the release date for every Animal Crossing game to ever exist that has released in America that is not a mobile game. And I want to go through this and just kind of study, and not to sound boring, but like a fun study, the release date gaps between Animal Crossing games. Because I think it's interesting, and it evolves every single time. So, let's start. These are the American release months and years for every Animal Crossing game. That is not Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, all right? So, Animal Crossing began in America September of 2002. 2001 was like the Japanese version and all that, but in America, 2002. Let's call it that. September, okay? Then we got Animal Crossing Wild World in December of 2005. And let's talk about that. That is a DS game from a GameCube game. Obviously, the GameCube one looks better. My point being, Wild World, though, was like a pretty vastly improved Animal Crossing game from the GameCube version. Like, I wouldn't even put it in the same realm of being like close to a port of the GameCube game to a DS. Like, it was a pretty spanking new experience. So 3 years to make that solid. 3 years later, no one likes to hear this, but it's true. They basically brought Wild World to the Wii. Like, City Folk is a better Wild World. No one wants to have that conversation for whatever reason, but that took 3 years. So right now we have a 3-year gap and another 3-year gap between Animal Crossing games. So I will tell you, if we were in the year 2009, I would predict another 3-year gap between Animal Crossing games. But from City Folk in 2008 to Animal Crossing New Leaf for the 3DS, that took 5 years. 2008 to 2013. We got Animal Crossing New Leaf in June of 2013. That's a 5-year gap. And I know what a lot of people are saying. And here's why I wanted to break down all the release dates. It might seem boring, but here's why. A lot of people are looking at the gap between Animal Crossing New Horizons and Animal Crossing New Leaf. That being a 7-year gap. 2013 to 2020. So there's a lot of people saying, oh my God, we're not getting a new Animal Crossing game until 2028 at that point. Because like they took 7 years last time. They might take 1 more year this time. Like, oh, we're so screwed. That's not actually the case. And I'll tell you why. Although it is a 7-year gap, we're skipping some things here. Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer came out in September of 2015. Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, say what you want, but that game took some effort, came out in November of 2015. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp came out in, I believe, 2017, which I understand is a different team, but still, like, they're not going to put out, like, them having Pocket Camp allows them to delay the next Animal Crossing game a little longer because they just had an Animal Crossing title. And then even before all of that, they had, which didn't take much work, they had Animal Crossing Plaza on the Wii U in like 2013. Like, they were doing a lot of Animal Crossing things in those 7 years, that 7-year gap. So let's do this. And here's how I like to look at it. I don't know if this is popular. I don't know how you all look at it. Here's how I look at it. I'm sure each game took a lot of effort. What I like to do here with this 7-year gap, 2013 to 2020, I like to take off 1 year for every game that was made in the series. So we have a 7-year gap, but in that gap, Happy Home Designer, Amiibo Festival, and Pocket Camp are made. So that 7-year gap, I would say, turns into more of like a 4-year gap. If they didn't have to make those spin-offs, I think that turns into less of a gap because they can put more time into the actual New Horizons game. And some people will say, well, Max, the people who made those spin-offs didn't actually, it's a separate team. That's not entirely true. The director, or at least, I forget what role she played in New Leaf, but the Aya Kyogoku, big Animal Crossing director for Nintendo, she helped, I think she directed Amiibo Festival, or was the head of it. And then I think even Happy Home Designer too. My facts could be a little bit off. Maybe she was she wasn't the director. She was this, but she was a big part of both projects. So you are taking away resources from New Horizons. So you are delaying New Horizons. So my thought is the gap there, 7 years, is not as big as it seems. If they didn't make the spin-offs, it would be closer to 4 or 5. So with all that said, let's say it's a 4 or 5 year gap from New Leaf to New Horizons. At worst, at the very, very worst, 6 year gap. Okay? Now we get to New Horizons and we're looking forward, okay? 2020 to TBD, to be determined. When will the next game release? We talk about it right now. So, here's where I struggle though. When trying to figure out when the next Animal Crossing game is releasing, I like to add, there was a 3 year gap, there was a 5 year gap, like we just did. We just calculated all the gaps. Here's what I struggle with. Do we start counting the gap space in 2020 or 2021? What I mean by that is in 2021, Nintendo put out a huge Animal Crossing New Horizons update. I mean, a huge one. Brewster, Cap, and all that stuff. You all remember that, right? So, do we start, we can start the, City Folk, Animal Crossing City Folk to New Leaf gap, 2008 to 2013. Do we do the New Horizons gap in 2020 or 2021? For Nintendo's sake, I will say 2021. So let's assume they began working on the next game November of 2021. It probably began earlier than that, but let's just assume that, okay? 2021. It's going to be about a 4 to 6 year gap from New Horizons to the next game. So by that math, the next game should come out in November of 2025, which ain't happening. From there, all the way to November of 2027. That would be a 4 to 6 year gap. So by this logic that I have somehow twisted and mangled, the next game should come out before November of 2027. If any of you just got what I just did there, this logic I've made, it's coming out before the end of 2027. But when exactly is the game coming out? So let's say this, okay? And also one thing to mention, sorry, I'm kind of gonna backtrack here. During that whole New Leaf to New Horizons 7 year gap, they also made a huge update for Animal Crossing New Leaf too. Animal Crossing New Leaf Welcome Amiibo. So they put a lot of extra work into those 7 years that they could have put into New Horizons. So that's even more making the gap reasonable. I guess what I'm saying is, because New Horizons sold so well, they want to kind of get this thing out quick. We are in the Switch 2's life. It was obvious they weren't going to put out a new game before the Switch 2. Very, very obvious. I think because of how Animal Crossing New Horizons sold, I can't help but think after they realized how well it was selling, they kind of thought, okay, we sort of need to hurry up because we need this game on Switch 2. I guarantee you, when Animal Crossing New Horizons, the next Animal Crossing game, when that gets released on Switch 2, I guarantee that is not only, if it's not $80, let me put that in there, it is the best system seller for the Nintendo Switch 2. And listen, Maybe statistically, the answer is Mario Kart, just because at launch, so many people bought the Mario Kart bundle. But like, I guess put it this way, the best non-Mario Kart system seller on the Switch 2, for the Switch 2, is Animal Crossing. It has to be. That game is going to be #1 on the eShop for like 6 months. Not actually, but like a long time. They need this game out soon. And we did the math earlier. There's like somewhere between a 3 to a 7 year gap for Animal Crossing games. I think it'll fall more so in like the 4 to 6 year gap. 4 years from 2021. 2025. It's not happening this year though. So we look at next year, a 5 year gap, 2026, as a potential release year for Animal Crossing on Switch 2. Do I think that is likely? I will say, that's a tough one. I think if it releases next year, I don't think it comes out until like September. I don't think that's like a June of next year game. I think the next Animal Crossing is like you announce it in February and you release that thing in like September. I think that's what you do. Now, we can look at 2026 and be like, yeah, that's a solid year for the game to release. Is there any chance this game releases in 2027? That's my question. I'm going to say the answer is probably... Oh my god. If it does, it's going to be early. I don't know. I cannot see it going that long. If it goes to 2027, that is the biggest gap of any Animal Crossing game, assuming there's no spin-off in between. Because, as we know, New Leaf and New Horizons was a 7-year gap, but we had like 3 spin-offs in the middle of it. So if they go to 2027, we have no spin-offs. That is the longest Animal Crossing gap between games. So what I'm saying is, I think it has to be 2026. It makes sense. You put out nothing New Horizons related in between the release and the next game, except for the one big update. No, like, new spin-off or something, I think you gotta release it next year in 2026, or else what are you doing? At the very, very least, like, scraping by, announce the game next year. And honestly, speaking honestly, I think Nintendo is just extremely not intelligent for not teasing Animal Crossing in the Switch 2 Direct. You know what kind of sale difference that would have made? And listen, I am no like Nintendo sales data businessman, but like if you just showed a logo in the Switch 2 Direct, I know people personally who have not bought a Switch 2 yet because they're waiting for New Horizons. I keep calling it New Horizons, the next Animal Crossing game. They're waiting for this. If you just showed a logo, they might have picked one up by now. They might be playing Mario Kart. You just gotta put a PNG in the video, and it's wraps, So I don't know. Nintendo's being weird. Unless the game is like 5 years away, I don't know why they didn't show it in the Switch 2 Direct. That is weird to me, but let's get to my final prediction. Because I am kind of bouncing all over the place. I am kind of like analyzing a lot. Let's get to my final prediction. When do I think Animal Crossing for the Switch 2 will release? I think it will release, and I already said it, but I just want to put it out there. And listen, guys, before I say it, I want you to know I correctly predicted Kirby Air Riders to release in November. I correctly predicted Dragon Drive to release on August 14th. I correctly predicted... Oh, what was it? I had something else too. What was it? Oh, guys, what was it? I had something else too. I had one more prediction that I got right up my sleeve. I forget, but I had something. I'm like 3 for 3 on the Switch 2 stuff. So listen to me when I say September of 2026, you will have Animal Crossing for the Nintendo Switch 2. I can't wait until, like, guys, in September of 2026, you will see this clip on your Twitter timeline. Because I'll be like, oh man, I got it right again, guys. I'm telling you right now. September 2026, that's their next big old game. It'll be announced early next year. Now, listen, guys, listen. Hang on a minute, hang on. If Animal Crossing gets announced next week at the Direct, forgive me, okay? Don't post this clip anywhere and say, EmSwizzle's an idiot. Oh my God, did you hear what he said? Guys, that's a shot as well. They could just show a logo next week and be like, all right, guys, next year, okay? But hey, I think you announce it in February of next year and release it in September. That's 7 months. Is that math? Yeah, that is. If not that, they could announce it next week, September 12th, and just do that, and, you know, everyone's hyped. I don't know. But I think announcement and release next year is the most likely scenario, because if it's not next year, we got to wait until 2027 for a game that you had 5 years to work on. I mean, I don't know what we're doing here. You know, like, it's an Animal Crossing game. At its core, it's the same thing you've made for the past 20 years. Like with a 3D Mario game. You gotta bring it. I understand why they're taking like 8 years to make that, 9 years to make it, 10 years for Mario Wonder. You have to make a lot. I mean, Mario Wonder shouldn't have taken that long. But like for 3D Mario, you gotta bring it. Animal Crossing, you have 400 villagers already made. Just add like 30. Add more furniture. Add a few new features. Add some new mechanics. Done. Apart from that, you're a dude or a gal on an island. Tom Nook and Isabelle are there, and you live day by day. Animal Crossing at its core is already done. You just gotta convert it for the Switch 2. Now, obviously, once again, you gotta add new villagers, you gotta add new features. Great. At its core, it's not like you're reinventing every single mechanic, unless they are, and we don't know about it. But like, do you see what I mean? Like, it's not as complicated as like the next 3D Zelda. Next 3D Zelda, you gotta reinvent everything, you know? Animal Crossing, you're a dude on an island. Just make that, you know? I'm not saying it's easy. What I'm saying is it shouldn't take 8, 9, 10 years to make the next Animal Crossing game. So it should be in the next couple of years. Within the next year, I should say, we should have the next Animal Crossing game. With that said, I'm getting a little fired up now. I better end this segment. Guys, comment down below if you're on a platform that can comment. When do you think the next Animal Crossing game will release? I'm saying 2026, specifically September, but I want your opinion down below if you're on Spotify or YouTube, platforms that can leave comments. I will be reading those comments. I'll be checking them twice. But with that said, folks, let's go ahead and get to your favorite segment, the question block segment, where I answer your questions you have asked me. Let's go ahead and get to it. You have made it to the question block segment, folks. Welcome on in. Today and every Saturday, I'll be answering your questions you asked me about Nintendo, about me, all that good stuff. If you want to ask a question to be on the podcast, there are a few ways to do so. Number one, I post on my YouTube community tab every single week. You can pop in there. That is youtube.com/@EmSwizzle. You can check that. Or if you don't want to wait for that to happen, you can join the Discord server link down below and ask your question in there. If not that, the most straightforward way to do it is to email mariomatterquestions@gmail.com, which I would tell you guys, that is probably the best way to get your question answered, because a lot of you guys might listen and think like, oh, YouTube's got to be the best way. Hardly anybody emails. So like, I check those. If you write a interesting enough question, like a pretty interesting question, You don't gotta be like over the top, like, so Max, what is your, least favorite, like, you don't gotta make some complicated question, but like, that's a good way to get your question answered because nobody ever emails. Some people do, but not many. So with that said, let's go ahead and guys, whether you know it or not, this is a legendary day for the Mario Matter. Because our first question, not even a question, our first email comes from CJ. Do you remember CJ? Longtime listeners of the Mario Matter will know who CJ is. So, for some context, CJ has been emailing into the podcast for a few months now. And CJ, to my knowledge, began with little money saved up to buy a Switch 2. Periodically, over the last few months, he has been updating us. I have this much money. I have this much money. I have this much money. I get this email 3 days ago. Hey, Max, I finally have my Switch 2, and Mario Kart World is amazing. I love it. I mainly play as Yoshi. It was definitely worth it. I just wanted to say thank you and everyone else listening on the podcast for y'all's support. Thanks, CJ. Guys, clap it up. Dedication. I'm not gonna lie. When I was younger, like younger, I had consoles handed to me. Like my parents might buy a console. They bought a Wii, a GameCube for my family, for my siblings. CJ got it out the mud on his own, running those lemonade stands. I'm kidding. I don't know what CJ actually did. I don't know if there was a lemonade stand there. I don't know what. Let's freaking go. And also, CJ, like, buying your own console has to feel good. Everyone say congrats, CJ, in the comments. Bro got his Switch 2. And CJ, although your saga is over of you saving up and emailing into the podcast, trying to, buy your Switch 2, email me again and we'll have you on next week. Tell us what you did to get your Switch 2. Because I guarantee you, there's a lot of kids listening who would love to do the same thing that you did, whatever you did, whether it's neighborhood chores, whether it's lemonade stand, whether you're selling candy at school, I don't know. A lot of kids would like to do the same thing that you just did. I don't know how old or young you are. Maybe you're 25. I don't know. But like, people would want to do the same thing that you did. So please email me and tell me what you did. I would like to share it if I see your email. So let me know. Congrats, CJ. That's freaking awesome. Enjoy the Switch 2. Alrighty. West Nintendo. I got 2 questions for you. Number 1, after a long day of working, what video game console and game would you play and why? Mine is PS5 and probably Marvel's Spider-Man or Fortnite. Fire. And second question, what is the most hyped you have been for a console and or game? All right. So the answer to your first question, after a long day of working, what game console and game would you play and why? As of now, it's hard to say like all time, but as of like where I am in my life, what games I'm playing as of this moment. So like, unfortunately, the answer is Madden. I'm sorry. Like, unfortunately, that is the answer. The answer is Madden 26. But like, that's not a good answer, man. That's not a good answer. Like, I finish my YouTube work, I go up to my bedroom, I turn on the PS5, I play Madden. Like, that has been my choice recently, but typically, it's gonna be something more like Animal Crossing New Horizons, or it's gonna be something more like Splatoon 3. Something more like that. I'm just in the Madden phase right now because, football is back. So that's exciting, but if it's not that, yeah, it's like one of the Nintendo flagship titles, like the Animal Crossing, the Splatoon, the Mario, it's something like that. But yeah, Madden 26 on PS5 would be my answer for, as of today, September 5th, 2025. That is my answer. But your second question, what is the most hyped you have been for a console and or game? Oh man, let's talk. So, the most hype for a console, it's gotta be Switch 2. because I just, like, so I was born 10 days after the Wii. Maybe less. I don't, like 9 days after or whatever. Maybe even 7 days. I don't know. And so obviously I couldn't be hyped for a Wii. The next console that came out was the 3DS. I was too young to know that a 3DS was coming out. The console after that was the Wii U. I was too young to even know what a Wii U was. At that point, I was like 5. No. I was like 6 when the Wii U was rolling out. I guess I could understand, like, oh, Wii U, but like being a 6-year-old who had a Wii and a DSi, like I couldn't give any mind to the 3DS. So I wasn't excited, and I should have been excited because as a DSi kid, I should have been hyped because, 3DS is like the next best DSi, right? So I should have been hyped. I wasn't. So after that era, the 3DS and Wii U era, the first console I was hyped about, which is going to shock some of you. Not shock, but you're going to be like, what the heck? During the 3DS era, I should say, not after it, during it, in 2016, my brother had a new Nintendo 3DS XL. So like the brand new model, right? Okay, so then 2017 rolls around, August in specific, and Nintendo releases the new 2DS XL. I was like, oh, this is my jam. It's cheaper, it's lighter, it's legit. So I traded in a bunch of video games and saved like $70 of my own cash. I was 11 years old, and I bought myself a Nintendo 2DS XL and still have it today. So that was like not only the first console that I bought with my money, but also just like I knew that was coming out. I watched, Lamar Wilson's review on the console. I watched iJustine talk about it. I was like, bro, I'm in. I'm in. Give me that 2DS. I was in. So I was just all in on this thing. And honestly, that's why I think, and I'm not trying to ask for nothing, that's why I think Nintendo needs to be better. Send every single YouTuber, every edition of console that you're making. Like, they sent out a bunch of people Nintendo Switch 2s, but if they make like a Switch 2 OLED, send it out to every creator that you can. Because that's how younger me knew whether or not to buy consoles. If iJustine and Lamar Wilson didn't make a Nintendo 2DS XL unboxing video, I would not have bought one. You need to send, and listen, exclude me, I don't care, but just send it to every creator, every YouTuber on the platform. Send them your new stuff, your new games, your new consoles, do it all. And they've sent me things before, great. But do it for everyone. Because that's what sold me on the game. On the console. So, 2DS is great. Always will be great. I think that's the first console I was hyped for. But the most hyped I've been for a console was Switch 2. Switch 2, it had to be. Just because I knew so much about it and, I make content, so it's more exciting now. I don't know. It's just, I was hyped for that. Now, the game that I've been the most hyped for, not to be basic, but it probably does just have to go to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I fell in love with Animal Crossing New Leaf, and this is the next game in the series. How could I not be more hyped? That was it. A close second, weirdly enough, because this game is one that you don't really, you don't get over the moon hyped for this next game. The other game I was pretty hyped about was Splatoon 3. Now, that's a very exciting game, right? But you don't get oh my gosh, I cannot wait. Because it's mostly the same game. You shoot other ink dudes, there's a story mode, it's the same thing. But I was pretty hyped about Splatoon 3. Like, I was counting down the days for Splatoon 3. Do you all want to know this? There's a game that's coming out right now that I'm pretty hyped for. And it's called Snoopy and the Grand Mystery Club. Oh, sorry, and the Great Mystery Club. It's coming out on PS5, Switch, and Xbox. I've fallen in love with like Snoopy stuff recently, hence my shirt that I'm wearing. I just like the guy. I think he's positive. I think he's fun. Snoopy is like, I just like him. I like him. He's cool. So when I heard that they were making a new Snoopy game, I'm like, I am in. I'm sold. So I already have it pre-ordered for the PS5. Don't talk to me when that game releases. I'm hyped for that. So don't. Dude, you ask me right now, what game are you most hyped for? Kirby Air Riders, Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon, or Snoopy? I'm saying Snoopy. I'm 110% serious. Now, if you ask me, Max, what are you most hyped for? Snoopy, Metroid, Kirby, or Tomodachi Life? I'm saying Tomodachi Life. Okay, there are some things that can beat Snoopy. But out of this selection of games that we have now, Metroid, Kirby, Pokemon, the answer is Snoopy. Call me whatever you want. Do you want to say it to my face? I'm just kidding. But listen, that game's going to be great. It's $40. It's made by Game Mill, I think. I'm hyped. Don't even think about talking to me October 10th or whatever that is. I record podcasts on Fridays. I think that's a Friday. I'm going to record the podcast on Thursday. Because Friday is booked. Friday is booked. Friday is booked for Snoopy. Okay? I don't want to hear nothing. No EmSwizzle hate in the comments for Snoopy. Okay? Come on now. That's going to be a great game. Don't talk to me that day. All right? All right. Deal. GMaze44 asks, hey Max, love the podcast. Oh, hang on. I wasn't going to remove your question, but the question they ask is, should I expect to see a new Animal Crossing game within a year from now? I put that question on here before I thought to make that the main topic of the podcast, so you did nothing wrong, don't worry. But my answer is, yes, you should. You actually should. So my answer is yes. Alrighty. The Pizza Penguin asked, what will you do if Nintendo goes bankrupt? I guess you're asking like in terms of content, like what content would I make? Or, okay, so as a fan, what would I do? Honestly, as a fan and a content creator, here's the great thing about Nintendo going bankrupt, okay? The scarier question is, what if every Nintendo fan on Earth dies? Well, what will I do? That's the scary question. Because my audience is made up of Nintendo fans. What will I do as a YouTube channel, If Nintendo themselves die, and Mario is no more, Switch 2 is being not supported anymore, what will I do? The answer is like, what will everyone do? You out there, what will you do if Nintendo dies? Well, your answer is probably going to be you'll go play Xbox or PlayStation. If Nintendo dies, do you know how many people are going to go play PlayStation? It's going to be like millions on millions. I mean, it's already millions, but like more millions and millions of people playing PlayStation. I'll just go make some PlayStation content because now they're popping. They're popping right now, So that's what I'll do. It's not what will I do if they go bankrupt. It's what will everyone do. And then I'll just follow, Like if everyone's going to play Xbox, now there's 100 million Xbox players. I'm going to go join them. I'm going to make some Xbox content. It'll be great, So the answer is I'll just do what everyone does. Pretty much. As long as I'm passionate still, So if they all move to Steam Deck, we're making some Steam Deck content. We're going where the audience is at. Because sales-wise, Nintendo's the biggest gaming company right now. I mean, name someone competing with Switch. You can't. Nobody. So, back in the day, it was a little different. But nowadays, it's Switch 2. It's the Switch 1, best-selling consoles. So, yeah, just wherever everyone's at, we will make the content for it. Finally, I can't read this name. It's like yellow on my white Google Doc, so I'm so sorry. But they ask, hey, Max, are we getting... No. They ask, hey, Max, we are getting in that week again. Do you think it'll be a partner or a first-party Nintendo Direct next week? All right. I did talk about this earlier a bit. I should do a better job at choosing questions next time. But my answer is going to be, I think it'll be a first-party Direct. I don't think it can be a partner showcase. They can't do another partner Direct. They just did one. You know, they can't do another one. They can't. There's no way. So I think that we will have a first-party Direct next Friday, which is great because we can talk about it. So, and don't be surprised if next week's episode is solo again, only because if the Direct is in the morning and then we got to get a guest on like in the afternoon-ish, and like it's a little bit harder to coordinate because everyone is so like locked in with making their own content after the Direct. So if it is solo, don't be surprised. If C.com is on the podcast, also don't be surprised. But I'll see what I can do. Next week may be solo, and then the week after that, we should have somebody. You know, we should have a guest then. But with that said, I think it'll be a first-party Direct. Folks, thank you all so much for listening to the Mario Matter, your favorite Nintendo podcast. If you did enjoy, depending on what platform you're on, leave a like if you're on YouTube, subscribe if you're on YouTube, leave a 5-star rating if you're on any other audio platform. It helps out the show more than you know. It's like the best thing it's the best thing that you can do for the show. So we'd really, really appreciate if you would take maybe 5-10 seconds of your day and, you know, leave a little 5-star review. We'd appreciate it. And I will be back next Saturday to break down the highly rumored Nintendo Direct. And if it doesn't happen, I'll talk about how everyone's wrong and how we can't trust anyone anymore. But, you know, it should happen next week, so we can break it all down next Saturday. I will see you all then. Thank you for tuning in. And I would also like to direct you, if nothing goes catastrophically wrong, I will have a long-form video releasing today. You can find that at youtube.com/@EmSwizzle. It's a pretty fun one, so go and watch that if nothing went catastrophically wrong and it didn't get posted. Okay, I will see you next Saturday. Adios!